Man, it's almost like a perfect shade of that blue.
So yeah, whatever you're seeing on the camera is what I have right now.
Oh, that's so crazy. So I can look into the past.
Yeah, just a couple seconds behind.
Nice.
How do those shots look with you standing there?
Man, it's almost like a perfect shade of that blue. Do you know, it looks a little pink to me.
So yeah,
But I don't know. It looks a little.
See, the problem is like I can see it as a little. There's like an orangish glow, I guess. Yeah.
Although, so then we're figuring out the camera and the laptop and now.
Yeah.
And so the question is that because like you like everything pink on your phone or?
No.
See, because that doesn't look as pink as that does. So which one is the real one? Do you know, it looks a little pink to me.
Let's see.
But I don't know. It looks a little.
I don't think I have any settings on my phone.
Although, so then we're figuring out the camera.
I have the blue light. Well, actually, let me turn the blue light filter off. Maybe that's doing it. Oh, that looks a lot better. It was my filter.
Okay. Oh yeah, that looks a lot clearer.
Maybe that's doing it. Oh, that looks a lot better. Is it a little tilted to you,
Okay.
or is that?
Oh yeah, that looks a lot clearer. The camera?
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
does it look like it's?
you look straight, but the wall looks a little.
Yeah, that's weird. Which means I actually stand crooked in real life. Yeah, we want the wall straight. Otherwise, that'll be all anyone can see. The camera?
Yeah.
Does it look like it's?
You look straight, but the wall looks a little.
Yeah, that's weird. Which means I actually stand crooked in real life. Yeah, we want the wall straight. Otherwise, that'll be all anyone can see. The camera? Does it look like it's? Yeah, that's weird. Which means I actually stand crooked in real life. Yeah, we want the wall straight. Otherwise, that'll be all anyone can see.
I'm gonna bring a level with me tomorrow, so I can make sure that the camera is perfectly level.
I think as long as it looks mostly level. I also wonder if maybe the screen is a little.
And I tried. I wanted level. I want you to
Sure.
level on that too. Right now, that's as straight as I can get it.
Sure.
And on my head, it looks okay. It looks like it's tilted a little bit, but like it is tilted. Like it's coming off the wall, it's a little tilted.
Okay.
And I think you can see the depth there because you'll see the shadow.
Right. Yeah. So that makes sense. I think as long as it looks mostly level. I also wonder if maybe the screen is a little.
How does that look to you now?
That looks good. That looks bright. You know, it is more light than before. Actually, I'm noticing more shadows on everything than before. The extra light shining, you see more shadows in general. But I think it's fine as long as none of them fall on the people. Because I don't want to get into backlighting and stuff.
Right,
That's,
that makes sense.
No, there
Right.
shouldn't be anything that falls in the no one's standing in front of anybody that I know of.
right.
So the same setup as Sunday?
Yeah,
Okay. So.
That looks good. That looks bright. You know,
I think so.
It is more light than before. Actually, I'm noticing
Mhm.
more shadows on everything than before.
So that's the other thing we need to check tomorrow is make sure that the camera
But
doesn't make her look like a child.
Yeah, I can adjust.
Okay.
You did this last week, but I didn't want
Sure.
to keep doing it.
Sure, that makes sense.
I didn't have a tripod, I was, yeah.
right.
Now, what is the cricket sound?
I just have the mic set there.
Okay, okay, okay.
So that's the other
Also,
thing
the
to check
fact that
tomorrow is make sure that
phone
the
is
camera
right next to that mic,
doesn't make her look like a child.
Okay.
Sure.
Test.
Would it help or hinder if I practice reading the gospel?
You could go, yeah.
Okay.
It's actually like a minute.
We can just say, wait till you see this. The Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ is according to St. John. Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, Lord, the one you love is sick. When he heard this, Jesus said, this sickness will not end in death. Now it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. And then he said to his disciples, let us go back to Judea. But Rabbi, they said, a short while ago the Jews there tried to stone you, and yet you are going back? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world's light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light. After he had said this, he went on to tell them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up. His disciples replied, Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better. Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. So then he told them plainly, Lazarus is dead, and for your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. Now let us go to him. Then Thomas, also known as Didymus, said to the rest of the disciples, let us also go, that we may die with him. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again." Martha answered, "I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this?" "Yes, Lord," she replied. "I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world." After she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. "The teacher is here," she said, "and is asking for you." When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house comforting her noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, "See how he loved him." But some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?"
I think the audio's okay.
How do they compare to last week's? Similar?
I had this, it's the same settings right now, so.
Nice. Because I was reading quieter at the end than before, so that's good. I was trying to figure out. I don't think Erica is as loud as I am.
I can pull it up a little bit if I need to.
Nice. Okay.
Essence, yeah. What I'm trying to do is get the scriptures to scroll on the screen. Like I have this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's supposed to scroll, but I don't know how to get it to scroll. But it comes up here. About 30 seconds or so.
Okay, so let me ask you, so when we go to off-site locations next week, will that be a feature or will that not be there?
I can do it.
Can you do it after the fact if they send us like video?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice.
I can, yeah, I can add it on top of.
Okay.
I was able to do something this week.
Uh-huh.
Like I had your names and stuff pop up.
Oh,
I don't
cool.
know if you saw that or not.
Mm-mm.
Here, I can show you. So, you just came up. I can click this and it pops up.
Oh.
Enter, and it goes away.
Look at that.
I had Abby up as well. I just put Abby D. I didn't really have anything. I had Erica up as well. So, but I really want this to work. Because that means we don't need to use, like, because otherwise I have to zoom in on the screen to see anything.
Yeah.
And then you lose.
Let's not do that this week. Let's just, we'll just keep it, and that way folks can sort of, because some of the folks, they just need a cue, like for the confession and the collect, I mean, they've got that built in, they just don't realize that they do.
Okay.
Yeah, but the names at the bottom, that's fantastic. All right, so in the morning, here's my prediction. My prediction is we'll get here in the morning and they'll want to change the lighting, and that's fine. Because I'm agnostic about that. I do like that it's brighter, even with shadows on